In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, may the peace and blessings of Allah the Exalted be upon the Prophet Muhammad and his purified progeny, and may the damnation of Allah be upon their enemies. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The following title of this lecture is The Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, peace be upon them, were not enough for them. Today, inshallah ta'ala, in this lecture, we'll be speaking about some of those who refer to themselves as Shia, and at the same time take their beliefs from deviant Sufi personalities. Some brothers have asked me in the past about the issue of Rumi's Mathnawi, or Maznavi as they say in Farsi, and they say that some scholars who are wearing turbans come out and say that this is Usul al-Din or Usul al-Din, or that this scholar, for example, referenced another scholar having this belief and confirmed that it's also their belief as well. So we want to deal with this in an academic way by seeing whether this book can be attributed to our religion. Because as we know, dear brothers and sisters, if one would give the statement and say that this book, for example, is Usul al-Din, it would imply to people that we are allowed to take beliefs from such a book or consider it something that relates to our beliefs. So inshallah ta'ala, we will read some quotes from this book and see whether they match with some of the teachings of the Imams alayhim as-salam, and we will also see whether the quotes within this book are something that we really want to attribute to our religion. Now, for those wondering what the Maznavi is, of course it's a poetic work by Rumi, and he finished compiling this work in his 50s. I believe he was 54, some of the age in his 50s. He compiled this work, or whether he finished it or not, that's another story, but he compiled this work in his 50s, and it is used as a spiritual guide for the Sufis. They take some of their teachings and inspiration, mystical teachings from this book, the Maznavi. And of course there are many different lessons, stories in there. They're allegorical type stories, or we can say there are parables within this, and it does reference some Islamic historical personalities in this book. It also mentions some Quranic verses, and it also mentions as well some of the events which occurred. And as I said, they're a mix of stories, some of these maybe not relating to some Islamic personalities or Islamic history. So it is a guide for the Sufis, which they use as a guide. It's a poetry book, but they derive many lessons, and they say that this is one of the most profound works which requires a lot of commentary upon and pondering upon this text. So it's mainly by the Sufis who take this. And I also remember, dear brothers and sisters, when I myself was studying in the institution, one of the institutions for my Islamic studies degree, we once had a class where the teacher was absent, and for that reason someone else came as a supply teacher. And of course he wasn't a mu'ammam, or let's say religious scholar in the sense of the Hawzat and wears the turban, etc. Rather, he was a professor who inclined towards the Sufi teachings. He was very much into this. And I asked him in the class, I said, what is the best tafsir? Because I think the discussion of tafsir must have come up Quranic exegesis. And he replied to me, the best tafsir is Rumi's tafsir. And at that time I was a bit confused, because I said I don't know whether Rumi has a tafsir. And later on I concluded that he must have been mentioning the Maznavi, that this is the best tafsir of the Quran. So of course this is a statement he made, and I mentioned this just to say that this is a type of idea that goes around, that this is somehow a text which has an influence upon our beliefs pertaining to religion and our aqidah, etc. So I heard from this Iranian professor, who is very much into these texts such as the Maznavi, and who would also consider himself Shi'i, that this text was the best tafsir. And of course other brothers said that there are scholars who say that the Maznavi is Usul ad-Din, or they reference other scholars who have said this. So inshallah ta'ala we'll look into this, but firstly we want to ask the question that where should our ilm, our knowledge, come from? As we know, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam and the Imams such as Imam Baqir alayhi salam, the fifth infallible Shia Imam, says كل ما لم يخرج من هذا البيت فهو باطل, that anything that does not come from this house, exit from this house, is invalid. This is one of the traditions, that something that does not come from us, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, it is invalid, is batil. We do not take this, or falsehood. Another hadith that we find from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, where he mentioned to two companions, turn east or west, you will not find true knowledge except which has originated from us. So you will not find true knowledge except that which has originated through us, Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. So within this tradition as well, Imam Baqir alayhi salam speaks about where we should take our knowledge from. Now someone might come along and say, okay, can I not learn things from non-Muslims, from non-Shias? The answer to this is yes, you can learn these sciences. You can learn mathematics, you can learn medical science, even Arabic from non-Muslims. However, when it comes to your beliefs as a Shi'i, you should not be taking this from deviant Sufi personalities, such as Ibn Arabi, who we will mention shortly. And as we know, the Imams alayhim salam, they have traditions warning against the Sufis and their beliefs and practices. Rather, when it comes to your religious beliefs, your aqidah, when it comes to your Islamic laws and anything relating to the religion, this should be from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, who reference us to the true, preserved and undistorted original teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So again, Imam Baqir alayhi salam says, كل ما لم يخرج من هذا البيت فهو باطل, that anything that does not come from us is, of course, falsehood. He then says again, turn east or west, you will not find true knowledge. You too will not find true knowledge except that which has originated from us, Ahlul Bayt. So this is very clear that we should be taking our deen from these people. And yeah, for example, as I said, the first Arabic teacher I had, believe it or not, was a Coptic Christian, Egyptian. He was not a Muslim, but it did not require him to be a Muslim to teach me Arabic. We find that those who specialize in Arabic translation and translation of manuscripts, Arabic manuscripts, which many native speakers would struggle to translate accurately, are non-Muslims, but they are experts in Arabic. So yes, when it comes to these sciences, then we don't need to go necessarily, for example, we can go to someone who is a non-Shia and learn them. Although, of course, all knowledge comes from Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. So there's no reason for us to mix our deen and our beliefs with deviant Sufi personalities. There is no need for this. And in fact, this is going against the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And in fact, what they, by doing this and by mixing your beliefs, you will be going against their saying, and you will be showing them that they are not good enough for you. Someone might come along, and another question, they might say, okay, what if there is someone, let's say he's Muslim, but he's not Shi'i, and he presents an argument which doesn't contradict the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Let's say, for example, he formulates a good argument in proving the existence of God. And maybe he uses some modern day scientific discoveries or examples to strengthen his argument in proving that there should be an originator and creator who has managed the whole creation and has intelligently designed this. Maybe his argument is something new that's come. If the argument would not contradict the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, we said it's not a problem. If there is someone from the other sect, for example, that he doesn't believe, he holds that Allah is not within a jism, Allah is not within a body. And as we know, jism can be a physical body or it can be a non-physical type of jism. But let's say he holds this belief, we say, yes, we agree on this as well. Maybe he formulates an argument to prove how this is impossible. We say, yes, this does not contradict the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. In fact, this comes from them. And it's very possible that and it's true as well that some of the other sects, they took some of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, mixed it with their own teachings, or even claimed that these teachings are from their sect and from other Sahaba, when it in fact originated from the Imams, who were obviously conveying the true teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in this case, no. The difference is that these people who are taking their beliefs from Sufis, they use some of the traditions of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and they try to manipulate these traditions to reel people in. They want to reel them in. They use these traditions to justify kufr, and in fact they ignore some of these traditions and they believe in some of these heretical beliefs from these deviant Sufi personalities, which explicitly go against the teachings of Ali Muhammad alayhi salam. This is an issue that they do, dear brothers and sisters. And this is why we need to discuss this issue, inshallah ta'ala. So before we give examples of the Rumi's Maznavi, a very notable and prominent personality that the so-called Irfani people love and the Sufis love, or many of them love, is Ibn Arabi al-Andalusi. Now he was a Sufi Mukhalif scholar from Andalus, and his teachings are very focused upon by some of the people who claim to be Shia, and they want to learn these teachings, they make commentary on them. And this is a personality, of course, someone doesn't have to, okay, someone can say, who are you speaking on this topic? We go to some of the top maraja, such as Sheikh Ishaq Fayyad, and I may add the clip within this lecture, where he heard of these teachings being spread in some of the Islamic seminaries in Najaf. He heard about these teachings being spread, and he actually warned the students that Ibn Arabi is a heretic and that his beliefs are heretical.
ومن جانب آخر سمعنا أن في هذه الحوزة المباركة يدرس العرفان على ضوء كتاب ابن العربي، وهذا خطر على الحوزة ولا سيما على شبابنا، فإن كتاب ابن العربي كل من قرأ هذا الكتاب يعتقد بأنه زنديق ولا إيمان له بالله تعالى وتقدس.
But this is a case where the top scholars who have studied some of these texts, or not necessarily studied them, but are familiar with some of the teachings, warn the students against this. Because you do not need to study for 10 years, for example, these teachings of some of these Sufi heretics to know that it goes against Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. If you learn the Aqidah of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and learn the Ahadith from qualified scholars, you will then know by even reading a few lines of some of these deviant Sufi heretics that their teachings contradict Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So it's not like this argument some of these Irfanis bring, where they say that no, you must study this, for example, for 10 years. Now, some say that, okay, what is the exact proof that some are attached to these teachings of Ibn Arabi, the deviant Sufi personality, the deviant Sufi heretic? Where do we find proof of this, that some students are going out to try and learn his teachings or be taught them? We find here in the book of the Shining Sun. So this is the book here. It says as well that Shining Sun is a tribute to the life and thought of renowned Islamic scholar Sayyid Muhammad Hussein al-Tabatabai, written after his death by one of his students. Shining Sun includes an overview of Tabatabai's life and transcriptions of discussions between him and his students. These discussions cover history, philosophy, mysticism, theology and the Quran. So this book mentions many things of his students about conversations and what they learned from him. So what we want to do, inshallah ta'ala, is that we'll go to page 10. We'll go to page 10 of this text, and then we will see what one of the students said. So here's the book, The Shining Sun. let us go to page number 10, and we find the following of one of his students saying this. And what does he say? He says, while I was in Qom, we also asked him to teach us Qaysari's commentary Sharh on Ibn Arabi's Fusus al-Hikam and Mullah Abdul Razak al-Kashani's commentary. So again, we just focus on the first sentences. While I was in Qom, we also asked him to teach us Qaysari's commentary on Ibn Arabi's Fusus al-Hikam. Now what this shows us, dear brothers and sisters, is that some of these people were infatuated with the teachings of this deviant Sufi heretic. And instead of, for example, like you're in a holy city, let's say you're in Najaf, you're in Qom, you have an ocean of knowledge there. You can learn about the Quranic exegesis as according to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. You can learn about their ahadith. There's various sciences one can learn which originate from the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And as we know, dear brothers and sisters, our time in this world is very limited and our time is precious, especially due to some of the situations where we have, such as we have family or we have to work. We cannot dedicate full time to study. But some of these people, as one of Tabataba'i's students say, they say that they wanted to learn Ibn Arabi's Sharh, the commentary on one of Ibn Arabi's prominent books or well-known books. And they say that he wasn't interested in teaching that. So Muhammad Hussein al-Tabatabai, he wasn't interested in teaching them that, but they wanted to learn that. So what this indicates to us is that there was this type of attachment to deviant Sufi personalities, and they themselves admit it, as I showed on page 10 of The Shining Sun. But what we want to do now is that, again, before we get onto the Rumi Maznavi part of this talk that I'm doing, or this lecture, we want to say that, okay, what is the proof that Ibn Arabi believes in teachings which contradict the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, or that his teachings are heretical? And before showing a quote, there are some of them who even teach whole courses on this. Why don't you teach a course on Al-Kafi? Why don't you teach a course on the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and their sayings, and what spirituality, the true spirituality, what we can derive from the du'as? No, some of them teach whole courses upon this. So let's just show the screenshot, inshallah ta'ala, to see what our Shia community has come to. Where كل ما لم يخرج من هذا البيت فهو باطل. That Imam Baqir alayhi salam clearly states to us that the Prophet Muhammad, the Imams, this pure household are our beacon of light for the truth. Yet these people, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, are not good enough for them. I'll say it straight up, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam are not good enough for them, and they need to mix their deen with deviant teachings of Sufi heretics. Let's go to the screenshot and see an example of this, just to show people that what is being taught in our Shia communities. So Dr. Farooq Sekalishfar, one of the well-known Irfani Sufi types amongst them, who also teaches students in Qom in the English language. On his page we find the following: we are pleased to announce Sheikh Farooq will be starting a new online course entitled Testaments of Ibn Arabi, starting in mid-September. The course will be conducted through Sheikh Farooq's website, sekalishfar.com. The cost of the course is $75. So you have to even pay $75 if it's not worse enough that they're teaching Ibn Arabi to people and corrupting their beliefs with this kufr and heretic. They even charge you money for it. Subhanallah. During the centuries, the mystics have shared their lifelong theoretical and practical experiences in the form of testaments to the masses. This practice is on par with the conduct of all prophets throughout history. So you see here, to give it a type of religious flavor, they try to attribute these types of teachings that they were, of course, approved or practiced by the prophets. One of the most well-known Muslim mystics has mentioned his testaments in his magnum opus Al-Futuhat Al-Makkiyah, Meccan Openings. These testaments are enriched with a plethora of jurisprudential, ethical, mystical, doctrinal and socio-political prescriptions invaluable for the present-day Muslim who is trying to create an identity for oneself. In addition to providing the diacritical Arabic text, the translation and superficial meaning, the course aims at opening the inner layers and depths of Ibn Arabi's words. So, dear brothers and sisters, again, this was just an example of a screenshot to show how these types of people have infiltrated the Shia community from all angles, teaching Ibn Arabi's thoughts. And again, what does it say? That they want to, the course, it aims at opening the inner layers and depths of Ibn Arabi's words. So let's not do sharh of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam's words. Let's not do a sharh of their words, a commentary, and try to analyze and uncover the inner depths and the layers and the great meaning of their words. Let's not try and uncover this. Rather, let's go to Ibn Arabi, waste time, charge people money, and teach them deviant teachings which contradict Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, their teachings, and waste our time trying to go through his words. So this is a difference, dear brothers and sisters. A true Shi'i of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam will spend his time trying to uncover the spiritual dimensions of the du'as of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, to understand their teachings in aqidah, in theology, to understand the qawa'id al-fiqhiyah, the different jurisprudential maximums that has been given to us by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, trying to understand the Islamic laws they've given us. Yet other people will waste time and they will learn the words of deviant Sufi heretics. And this is a case with Farukh, or whatever his name is, Sekalishfar, where they do these courses. And he is just one of them, dear brothers and sisters. So, dear brothers and sisters, let's go to Ibn Arabi's work of Fusus al-Hikam and see some of the teachings that he wrote about in there.